right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first 2022 virtual Heritage Wilmot meeting. Welcome to those viewing online, either live or afterwards as well. I'd like to start off with the territorial acknowledgement. Councillor Fisher, would you please share that with the group?
Hi, I sure will. We have gathered in Wilmot Township on the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Mississauga peoples. We also want to acknowledge the importance of the Dish with One Spoon Covenant, a peace agreement made between the Indigenous nations before the Europeans arrived. It characterizes our collective responsibility to each other and Mother Earth. We should take only what we need, leave enough for others, and keep the dish clean. By acknowledging this covenant and the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, we are reminded of our important connection to this land where we live, learn, and work together as a community.
Thank you, Barry. Moving on to disclosure of pecuniary interest. Do any members have any pecuniary interest to declare? Seeing none, we can move on to review of the minutes from the December 8th meeting. Any comments, questions, omissions, additions, etc.?
The minutes look good as usual.
Thanks, Yvonne, and thanks, Alicia, too. And Tracy for reviewing as well. If there's nothing else, then motion to approve. Yvonne, second, Patty. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, on to business. The first item we had under there was 1522 Bethel Road, which was a request for advice on wood trim and gingerbread repairs. So following the last meeting, we've been continued to be in touch with Ms. Doan regarding repairs to her property. I did have the opportunity to go and visit her house and met with her to review the repairs and take a look at the trim and the different components. I have some photos I can share, but maybe I'll just touch on the rest of the details about it. So there's repairs proposed to the soffits and also the fascia, and then the detailed gingerbread scroll work, and then there's the drops that are on the trim as well. And also some work to better seal right up at the top by the attic. There's some areas in there where they need to seal with some spray foam or some caulking, depending on the case may be. And she's also obtained quotes from some contractors to also do the work. Through consultation with them, they're proposing to scrape and sand all the trim as required, and then they'll use some caulking and wood filler as needed to fill in any gaps or cracking and thing. Everything after that will get primer, and then it's a Benjamin Moore exterior paint they're going to use. That's a low luster finish. It'll be white color. The targeting work this summer. They have to give the contractor the official go-ahead shortly, and also get things sorted out for potential funding application to the Heritage Foundation. I did talk to her about that when I was out there, and Patty was good enough to share her thoughts too on that, and we think it's a good candidate for her to apply. So was hoping we could write in a letter of support for her on that. Anything else you wanted to add, Patty or Tracy? I'll just take a minute to pull up the photos as well.
While you are pulling up the photos, I just want to let everyone know that Marg is trying to log on.
Okay.
That's why I had to turn my camera off. My phone rang. But so we're just trying to get her to log on. So that's where I was.
Okay, that's interesting. I can't find my folder of photos now.
While you're looking for photos, do you want me to, I can talk about Heritage Week.
Sure, that'd be great.
Would that work?
Yeah, then we can come back.
Sure. So Heritage Week in February that we started planning for before Christmas. I sent an update to everybody about some of the articles that we're still looking for. We've got one or two already from Yvonne. If there's anyone else that was interested in writing an article, I had reattached some from last year that could be reworked. I know some of the ones about sort of the did you knows, people love those ones. I was also looking for some feedback. There's a nice graphic that Sherry Gropp put together for us, and it's a colorful, it's kind of funny to say colorful and heritage in the same sentence, but it is some of the heritage photos with just a little splash of color. So we were going to use that for our social media. And as well as when I was chatting with her today, she suggested if everyone was to take a selfie in front of their favorite structure, then we could use that for our campaign as well. Give a little personality on what you like in Wilmot Township. So that was an email sent out not too long ago. I can share that the posts, so our articles that are going in there is going to be about 3 or so, and the theme is going to be resiliency, which is a great one for 2022. And the New Hamburg, so it's going to be the Heritage Edition, and the New Hamburg Independent is going to be doing a Heritage Edition too. So there's going to be 2, which the more on Heritage, the better. So I'm working with, I'll be working with them as well on that. So if anyone probably in the next week or so, I'm going to send out another email to everyone on some areas where I could really use some help on just, even just might be some short questions on what you like about being on the committee, or just to give a little bit of personality to all of our members. Nothing too revealing, but just to kind of change it up for us for that week and have it all prepared. And
that all sounds great, Tracy. And thanks. I was going to mention too, thanks again for sending out the reminder earlier with all the information about it.
What is the theme?
So we don't have because we're not doing the actual Heritage Day. We're going to follow what we did last year, and it's just more information, like education on heritage in general. So it could be who are the committee members, heritage features in Wilmot Township. It could be landmarks, landscapes, why we designate, what is a non-designated register. So it's more of a kind of a did you know, and just sharing with the community what this Municipal Heritage Committee does rather than a particular theme. Hoping in 2023 we will have a theme and we will have an in-person at a community center. So for now it's just online.
One thing we did years ago was to have a contest, guess the spot, guess where this is in the township.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember we did, was it mills? We had a questionnaire at one of our Heritage Days on guessing where the mills are. So, yeah, we could have a did you know? That's a good one, Ren.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Ren. I like that.
On I'd have to put some rules in there about who can respond and who can't. Anyone I know that knows their heritage here, though. So location, okay.
Yeah, we did that about 20 years ago, and it was very popular, and could throw a $25 Timmy's card in there or whatever,
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Now, Ren, knowing you have your own little archives there, would you happen to still have it from 20 years ago?
Yep.
Oh, I knew you would. Are you able to email it to me, and then maybe I could just update it, and that'd be awesome to.
There was a whole bunch of pictures that Gary and I took all around the township of different, tree locations or tree farms or just various. It wasn't necessarily about buildings. It was about the township.
Yeah, maybe like some landscape type of.
Yep. So
fit right in with our cultural heritage landscape too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you could send that to me, Ren, that would be a great thing for us to kind of work in if you wanted to work with me on that.
Because I think we did that 2 or 3 years. So I might have a couple of them.
Okay, that would be fantastic. So that kind of engagement I love for something that has to be online or virtual.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Hey, Marg.
Oh, Mark is here.
Welcome, Mark. Oh, you muted though, Mark.
Yeah.
Find your
On,
photos?
yeah, I did. On the Heritage Week stuff, I did have a short interview with the what's it now, the Wilmot Tavistock Gazette. I talked to them earlier this week, so I know they're putting together an article, so we'll see what they put together. But we had a great discussion about the committee and types of things we do and some projects we worked on, so it was a good discussion. So that's something they're working on too.
So if our Heritage Week is going to be in the Tavistock paper, should we include Tavistock pictures?
I think that because it's Heritage Wilmot,
Yeah.
more if it's from the committee, because I think they have their own heritage committee in Tabby, right?
No.
Oh, that they did the historical society.
Do they?
I believe so, but
They did years ago. I know with Bill Gladding, he was in charge of it, but they didn't do much.
That would actually be a good idea for
I'm
the paper to reach out to, perhaps. Or the Egg Society. Maybe they've got some historic photos they could share too.
So Ren, if you and I were to work together, like in the next, like maybe have in the next week to have it finalized, because I have to submit the end of January to start sort of our campaign. That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, was there anything else on Heritage Week? If not, we'll go back up to Bethel Road. I'll share my screen. Sorry, my phone was ringing. So can everyone see that okay? Perfect. So side view of the house, that's just gives a sense of the type of trim that we're looking at. I'm just going to kind of scroll through, and if anyone has anything they wanted to mention or jump in, feel free. But this is just a view of the side looking up, just showing some of the detail. And you can see some of the areas where the paint is starting to flake off. Underneath it looks pretty good still, but definitely paint starting to flake off along the part that gets weathered the most. And then on the one front corner, one of these little detail drops, it looks like what's happened is just the way it's attached has started to come apart over the years. So there was this one that was kind of hanging, and I know Karen did take it down as well, just so it doesn't fall and get broken. So that's good. And then it's a view just at the front of the house, and it is quite high up at the front, 2.5 stories, I guess. And actually, this picture is a good one. You remember a few years ago, so they put the window on the outside and then have the old window in behind it. So it's almost like it's a storm out in front, which I thought turned out really well. And you can still see the old window really well, and it provides the weather, keeps the weather out for them.
How long ago was that, Nick? 2 years that 2 years ago that we looked at that?
I think it was longer than that.
Was it longer than that? Because it looks like it turned out really well.
Yeah. I've got correspondence from 2018, so there we go. Yeah, it turned out really nice. And then it's just the front. That's the replacement door and surround that they'd worked on a little while ago too. This is the one side, and I think this is an old pipe that I think was used for the chimney at one point. That's something that she'd like to work on repairing at some point in the future too. We talked about that a little bit. You can see up at the top, there's one section that had come off. She did keep all the pieces for it, so they can be reattached. And I do have some close-ups of the trim. Yeah, here we go. So she'd put the pieces of trim together and mark them all just so that it can go back together like a little puzzle. But you can see the wood, it's still in quite good shape. I didn't notice anything rotten, and it was pretty heavy too. So I'm not sure what kind of wood it is, but definitely a hardwood of some type. And then these are the pieces that had fallen apart. So it looks like what had happened just over the years, it's cracked along the grain, and that's just resulted in some of the pieces coming off a little bit. And then it breaks and loses integrity, then falls down. This is just another photo of those. So I climbed up on the low section of her roof. She had a ladder all ready there for me to go up and take a look. So this is one of the detail drops, and they're really quite neat. And I thought they might be starting to rot as well, but they seemed like they're in really, really good shape still. So in looking at it, discussing it, I think if it's gets some scrape and sand and prime and paint, it should be good for a number of years now. And I've got a couple other photos just of that too. Just there is a bit of a trim piece near the top that does look like it's really weathered, so that needs a bit of repair just to get everything to line up a bit better. And this is just standing up on the low section of roof looking up. And you can see how the trim was fastened in the past. So that was one of the things that when they do the repair, she said they were going to look at as a better way to fasten it, just so it holds on better. Just a couple more pictures of the.
How old is this house?
Can't recall offhand the specific date. Tracy might have that, but I want to say 1860s.
So that gingerbread has held on pretty good for 150 years.
Yeah, it has. And it's in really good shape still too. And so that's just underneath the soffit, which other than a bit of cracking, the paint held up really well. So just it's out of the weather, I guess. But they were going to give that a fresh coat of paint as well. I was just looking.
How old is this paint?
That I'm not sure. I think when we first talked to them about this house, well, I think she purchased it in mid-2000s, and I think they did some touch-up right when they got it, and they haven't done any paint work since then. And I don't know how much paint was on it before they acquired the property. Like if it was all redone or if it was just a bit of touch-up.
Well, it's pretty good if it held up for 25 years.
Yeah. These are just so neat, the detail on those.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Are they in good shape, or does it just need paint?
It just needs paint. I was afraid it might be deteriorating pretty bad, but they're surprisingly solid. It just needs cleaning up and paint, and it should be good for a while. Yeah. And you can see in some places the wood's pretty weathered. You can see some deep cracks kind of near the top in that. But yeah, other than that, it looks good.
That's good.
It was just a picture I took under the windowsill. So when they'd done the windows, they did the stone sills. So those are actually new sills, but they match really well. I think that just another close up of the pipe / chimney.
Is that a cast iron piece going up there? What is it?
It is, and I've seen that before where it's it was, I think, used at some point to replace the chimney, and they use the cast iron drain pipe for that. But I've seen that on a few other houses too, and same thing. You can see it at the end of the house as well. So I think just over the years it starts to mortar starts to crumble off of it. But yeah, I think that's what it is, the cast drain pipe.
I just looked up the property. It's 1860. is what we
Okay.
have noted.
There you go. Right on.
Yeah, it's just a close up there. There's a couple spots where it is pretty weathered. So we'll see how those take to the paint, but they have these wood filler or putty if they need to. So I think it'll turn out well. So that was the last photo I
So
had.
do they have to replicate some of these pieces, or are they just going to paint them?
Just going to paint them. I don't think they need to replicate anything. They were looking at possibly doing that, but once the contractors got up to take a look at it, they determined it was actually in pretty good shape and they could just repair and paint it. So, don't know if anyone has any questions on that. I know that they were looking for committee support to prepare a letter of support for the Heritage Foundation. And then also would like to go ahead to do the repair work. So I guess I'll just open it up if anyone has any questions or anything they wanted to mention.
So their application is mainly to get it scraped and painted.
Yep.
Okay.
And then if they need to use any filler, or she mentioned they use a vinyl caulking that's weather resistant if they need to, just to fill in gaps and things.
Okay.
So yeah, and I thought there was a section that was missing, but she does have all the pieces that fell, so they can put them back together, which is great.
So this is not just a Betchen Holman Ryer house, it's now Betchen Holman Ryer something else?
Doan, yep.
Doan?
Yeah, Doan.
Okay.
If there's anything else, I guess we'd like a motion to support the application to do the repairs, and also prepare a letter to the Heritage Foundation. Patty?
I would so move, and I can help with that application.
Oh, thank you. Perfect. Seconder? Ren? Any further comments, questions? No, all in favor? And that is carried. Excellent. Great, so I will I'll prepare just a short letter advising that we reviewed the application, talked about it, and that we supported everything, and then we'll work on a letter. And yeah, Patty, if you could help with that, that would be great. I know, Tracy, you have a bit of a format that we've followed, so maybe if you could send that, then we can work on the letter. So that is great. I think then we can move on to the third item under business, so the non-designated register update. So I just had it on there, just a quick check-in on work for this year, and update on photos. I didn't know if the subcommittee had met to talk about photos yet. I know Jen and Scott are not here, so don't know if anyone else has any update on that. That's fine. We can wait that for next time. And was there anything else you wanted to mention on that, Tracy, for the register?
No, I sent an email with the properties. I think Marg, with the ones that she had shared with me, I would have sent an email out to the committee on the ones that we definitely need retakes on.
Right.
Perhaps maybe we can find that email and just re-forward it as a fresh new reminder for 2022.
Okay.
I think it would have been November, December, I think.
Mm-hmm.
For the
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it's a good idea to photograph some of these properties in the wintertime, like
Exactly.
the Silcox property.
Yeah. before everything grows again.
Yeah. And you guys have done a super job in getting that list together and doing that. I'm impressed.
Thanks, friend. Yeah, they've been busy.
Yeah. So I can, if you want, Nick, I can find that email and I can recirculate it to the committee of the photos. And if there's any other photos people feel that could be enhanced, we always could use lots of photos.
Yeah, Ren, so we talked about just some of the photos that were older or not very clear on the register, just updating them.
Yep.
And it was non-designated, and then we had some designated too, just for some updated fresh ones too.
And then that can just be rolled in with our updates to the register for this year.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, great. I don't think there was anything else I had underneath that. Anyone else wanted to add anything? All right, we can move on to the 2022 work plan then for the committee. So we had a great discussion last meeting, and we had a pretty good list in the minutes of things we can build on for this year and onward from there as well. So that was just on there just to kind of touch base. And then I didn't know if there's anything there, Tracy, that we needed to include any budget for this year.
So what I can do, it's just been busy last couple of weeks. I'm going to piece together all these suggestions from our last meeting. I'm going to put it all into one document and I'll circulate it to the committee so we can see exactly everything that we've talked about, everything that realistically what the committee would like to tackle for 2022. So it keeps us on track. Maybe we could put some dates in there, sign like some what month things that we should have drafts ready for and when we know final, so we can really keep our benchmarks for moving ahead. And when there's always going to be new things that come up, and so it's nice to always keep this this list going. And then it's also nice to kind of see how much we've accomplished too. And then if there's something new that comes on, then we can say we can add that on for 2023 or whatever. But I will piece together the list and send that to the committee.
Okay.
And then we could maybe for the next meeting identify which ones the members would like to do. We have sort of our usual annual ones and any new things to take on and work towards.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything from anyone on that item? All right. That was all I had for business. Tracy, you had a couple quick updates on there as well.
Sure do.
You had the water lot and then the CHLs.
So update for the water lot, the owner, she submitted her application to the Waterloo Regional Heritage Foundation. And as you know, the committee, we included a letter of support. And she should hear back, I think, in the next couple of weeks. And I asked her to keep us updated. So fingers crossed, her application is accepted. The other one would be CHL. So the Cultural Heritage Landscape, there was the presentation on Monday. I don't know how many people tuned in on Monday at Council, and Bridget Cody from the region gave an update. If you missed it, the YouTube links are still there on for the Wilmot Township. And she provided an overview of some of the considerations, and then there was discussion on some possible ones, some additional ones. So I've reached out to her and asked if there is anything specifically we can do to support her on whether it is some photos, information in general, anything that we can do to support the project. So once I hear back, it was just this week, so I'll email the committee if there's something specific that we can provide some support to her on.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to tune into Council, so it's the benefit of the meeting link. You can go watch it after.
Kind of nice, and she's the first presentation.
Oh, good.
So yeah, it is kind of nice to go back and watch meetings that you in pre-COVID days, when you missed a meeting, and it was just minutes that you relied on. So it is kind of nice to watch.
Yeah, and then we had the sporadic ones where they were on TV, but otherwise, you're out of luck. All right, that was it for business. New business, we had the draft committee meeting dates, and I know Tracy started to put a list together. And generally, I think we'll continue on the Wednesday at 6:30, unless anyone feels strongly otherwise. And I think the second Wednesday of the month, that was the best one for Township as well, for just getting YouTube links and everything, and streaming and all that, because it doesn't conflict with anything else. And the only change, I guess, would be Tracy, you're proposing to have the November meeting be the last one before Christmas, have it at the end of November instead of early December.
That's right. So rather than typically meeting the second Wednesday in December, which does get a little bit tricky with holidays, is if we were to move our second meeting in November to the end of November, which would be November 30th. And that could be our sort of our year-end recap. And hopefully we'll be in person well before that. But I can circulate the draft schedule to everybody tomorrow morning and take a peek at it. And if there's any feedback, just let me know. But this way, it would give us some structure from January, well, obviously now, right up until November 30th. There are a June and July I've popped in, but if we feel we didn't need to meet, we can always defer. But sometimes it's nice just to touch base, especially if there's some summer projects or photography or the non-designated list, which is a good one in the summer too. But again, just suggestions, so I'll wait to hear back if there's any issues.
Okay, that sounds good.
And
for the summer, we could always keep them, and then, like you said, we could just make the decision at that time to move them. Mm-hmm. Yes, Barry.
Thanks. Through you, Nick. There's a potential for a new council being this November as well, so it might be a whole different group in here, I'm guessing, right? So
yeah, we would keep our term. So that November 30th would be our last one as this committee. And you're right.
I think the new council, whoever it will be, starts in the middle of November, if I believe. I think they changed that up. Did they not, Tracy?
I can double check for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll double check tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Election time already. Anything else under new business?
I got something.
Sure.
The 1138 Snyder's, Ralph Wagner's place. Did he not do an application a couple of years ago for a new roof on his barn or house? Did he ever do that? Or and now he wants a new front porch? Does he? I don't know. Is he ready for it?
As far as I know, there's been no application to the Heritage Foundation, like no formal application to the Heritage Foundation. I can share that we've been working with him to provide support to him for an application. I know Patty and myself have discussed different projects with him, but as far as I know, he's not gone through the foundation.
Okay. And I got two questions about the archives. Does the archives receive three-dimensional items?
Depending on what it is, so it'd be in the collection side of it, but yeah, three-dimensional, we separate the paper in the three-dimensional. Yeah, we do.
Okay, because there's a chance of an old treadle sewing machine that used to be owned by the Katie Decker, which is now Vesper Springs.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner says she doesn't want it anymore. And is that something that they would accept?
So I can speak from Castle Kilby. We already have one.
Okay.
So if it's something that we already have one in the collection, then I'd be more than willing to help find a new location, like the Wadley Regional Museum for sure. I would check in to see if they would like one.
Oh.
And then other surrounding museums as well. Wellesley Historical Society, Tavistock, I believe they still have theirs running.
Okay.
But limited space with the castle, and usually we stick with we have.
Oh, I know that. Like, I was going to check with Vesper Springs with Joy, and to see if she wants it too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
and also then with the archives,
Mhm.
is it something that you could include with the Heritage Day pamphlet that you can advertise what you have in the archives and when it can be accessed?
That's a good idea.
Oh, sorry. We did last year on why we have an archives, why it's important to what we have is based on what people donate to. So encouraging people on to be a repository for the collection for the Township of Wilmot and why it's significant. And we were showcasing some key pieces for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of people when they're looking for some things, a lot of times I have to remind them it's what people, a lot of times what people donate is how the collection grows. So it's.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks, Ren, for those. We can move under correspondence. I did have something under there, which was just the Bridge Street Bridge, to quickly mention that there was the notice of completion of the study. We just sent a letter the other day for that. I know it went to council earlier this week with the recommendation for replacement bridge, but then also further investigation of moving the span for the current bridge to another location within the township. I wasn't at the meeting, so I didn't hear how the discussion went, but I don't know, Tracy or Barry, if you had any further update on that, if there's any discussion at council for there.
I had asked what kind of time frame it was for the bridge, and they had suggested that the assessment would happen this summer, hopefully, and perhaps the work starting early next year, like late,
Okay.
like spring of next year, kind of thing, potentially. And I'm not sure what else. I know they discussed cost of relocation, and it was $620,000. But with that, between 100 and 200,000 would be the demolition of the old bridge if it was going to be a tear down.
Oh, okay.
So basically 620
is
can
already
drop
there.
down to 420.
Okay.
125,000 was designated to lift the old bridge off, park it somewhere, and let it sit until some decision was made. That potentially you could eliminate as well. If a location was figured out and you could do it all in one move kind of thing. So I think 620 seemed a little high in my thinking if it was relocating, but yeah, other than that, Tracy, any other thoughts you had or of comments?
No, I think you covered it all on just more proposing. I think there's still see further discussion, but in that package, I know our heritage letter of the comment, Nick, that you had submitted on behalf of the committee, it was part of the package. So they certainly know from the heritage point of view on what we would be looking for consideration. So that was nice to see. But no, I think you summarized it well, Barry.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. And yeah, we had good discussion with township staff before that just about the possibility of moving part of it. I know that was one of the comments we had to try and reuse part of the bridge. So I'm hoping those discussions can continue, and we'll see where they go. And I don't know if the whole committee got the letter of completion, so maybe I'll just send that to everyone after our meeting tonight, so you have it. As I know I saw it, but I'm thinking now it was just sent to me. right. Any other correspondence from anybody? Or any info sharing? Don't see anybody's hand jumping up.
No.
Tracy?
I was going to say today, if you haven't already seen the township Twitter or Castle Kilbride Facebook, today is the National Museum's Curator Selfie Day. So there's
Cool.
actually some fun pictures with as curators at the museum on Selfie Day, and it was an international recognition. It's only been a couple of years old, but it's neat to bring a fun side to museums where it's always don't take photos, and it was a take photo and to give support to museums. So you'll see Sherry and Taylor and I in that, and it's neat to, and it's interesting to see who likes the tweets too. So there was, I think, 2 in the UK today that liked it, and just kind of show that museums can have fun too. National Selfie Day.
That's fun. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah. And there's if you look at yesterday's too as well, was the lead up. Sherry had done a picture with one of the statues in the museum, Don Quixote, and he was gearing up for Selfie Day.
That's fun.
I think Sherry's was half a picture though, wasn't it? Just see the top of it.
It just in the creative, yeah. Oh, so you did see it then, Barry?
I did.
Yes, I would tell you how many rungs on the ladder I was standing on trying to get my selfie with the statue of the woman, the mural, because I was trying to have her right beside me. But it's fun.
Excellent. Anything else, anyone? If not, our next meeting is February 9th at 6:30. I put it to be confirmed on the agenda, but it sounds like that will generally work for everyone still. And if there's nothing else, motion to adjourn. Barry and Ren tied. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in and joining us tonight. Have a good night.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.